Hello students, welcome to ePathshala. I am Mrs. Nitya, belongs to Department of Civil Engineering. Let us discuss the topic today on suitable plans for different income groups. Introduction. In developing country like India, the growing concentration of population, especially in urban areas, has shown leading problems of shortage of land, housing shortfall and congested transit. These problems are also stressed the existing basic amenities, namely water, electricity and land. Therefore, government has taken initiation to provide housing for all system preliminary economically weaker group. In this context, the following session discusses the meaning of affordability and its significance, different income groups and the building specifications for different income groups. The objectives of the topic: to understand the definition and significance of affordability, to know the definition of different income groups, to know the specifications of building plans required for different income groups. Next, we'll see what is meant by affordability. It is measured in terms of non-refundable. Affordability, the term holds different meanings for different categories of demographics. Further, there are also several socio-economic variables governing a city or locations are involved. Generally, affordable housing denotes to residents that have been especially designed for the economically weaker section, that is the EWS, and low income group who are looking for the same comfort and security of a self-owned property home that the more fortunate middle class enjoys. In India, EVS and LIG categories did not get much attention to their needs in their earlier years of real estate development. However, with the changes in administration and especially with the current government coming to power, a significant amount of changes has been taken place in this respect. These two sessions make up the thickest segment of the demographic for India and form the base of the country's economy. It has been overdue that their requirements are looked into. Why is affordable housing important? Creating affordable housing is not just about helping a certain demographic to achieve their dream of home ownership. True, from a political viewpoint, it is obviously important to cater the demands of a massive vote bank. But there is an important economical angle to be considered as well. The working class must have a good enough reason to not move out of that city to able to work and earn. It is important to understand that we are not just talking about people living on below or on the edge of the poverty line. The people who fall under both these categories are extremely important for the country's economic progress. They provide myriad services which our cities can simply not to do without, but are very prone to migrating out of cities which do not support their needs. For them, as for everyone else, home ownership provides not only a strong psychological anchor but also financial security and a better lifestyle, important incentives to stay put rather than migrate elsewhere. And what about affordable housing for the middle class? Affordable housing also comes under the ambit of much wider local meaning, wherein it constitutes home that are affordable to maximum segment of demographics. It can also be applied to the local population in a city which, despite being a more economically fortunate and flexible than EVS and LIG segments, are sensitive to high home price with their city. Such buyer groups will have sufficient funds to buy a decent sized property on the outskirts, but face challenges when buying a home closer to the employment hubs and conveniences available within the city limits. Another way to understand this situation is the deficiency of the properties within the city locations for buyers in the budget groups of 35 to 50 lakhs. Thus, a city would be said to be a deficient of affordable outskirts within a price range of rupees 20 lakhs. In this case, the potential buyers or those who can pay beyond rupees 20 lakhs are not interested in living on the outskirts. Affordable housing as a whole is a profitable business because of its high rate of absorption. However, such housing also advances socioeconomic growth both at the locality and city level because it initiates in higher earning groups. Overall, if the majority of the city working class does not find suitable homes meeting both their needs and budgets, it can be said that there is a dearth of affordable homes. Then, affordable is depending on the 4 criteria. The first one is the minimum volume of habitation. Due to pressure on urban land increases, all agricultural forms are converted into residential and commercial, so that the designer thinks providing housing as a vertical planning rather than horizontal planning. Cost of housing. The affordability of housing not only including the purchase cost but also maintenance cost of the dwelling unit. Therefore, affordable housing project lower operational and maintenance cost using sustainable features are the main key aspects. Public and private subsidies are offered to LIG and EVS for buying homes, but high operational costs are feasible to them. Provision of basic amenities. Even with the availability of adequate area and minimum cost, the basic amenities such as sanitation, adequate water supply and power to dwelling unit is very crucial. Also, the facilities includes community space such as parks, schools and healthcare facilities. These are all desirable depending on the size and location of the housing project. Fourth one is a location of house. An affordable housing project unit, it should be located within reasonable distance from workplace and it should be connected adequately through the public transport. In case if housing is developed for away from the city, the transportation cost may be increased whilst price of the dwelling unit might be low due to lower land costs. The industrial development in outskirts of the city may sometimes serve as a workplace hubs. Next we'll see what are the definition of different income groups. At a very broad level, households can be classified on an economic basis. In India, the broad classifications are low income, middle income, high income group. This economic categorization is relevant as it allows us to map the affordability level of the household with the type of housing. It is defined by cost, size, amenities, tenure and location that will be demanded. Naturally, there are other considerations that will determine demand, that is size of the household, age, demographic or which tier of the city households lives in. The classification of different income groups, namely economically weaker section, low income group, middle income group, high income group are defined by KPMG, Professional Service Company and Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. So based on the definition of KPMG, it is defined by EVS means those who are getting a less than 1.5, that is a rupees income level less than 1.5 per annum, and the dwelling size recommended for them is up to 300 square feet. And for the LIG is defined those who are getting a rupees of annual income of rupees 15 to 3 lakhs per annum, and the dwelling unit for them is 300 to 600 square feet. And for MIG group, the earning of annual income is rupees 3 lakhs to 10 lakhs per annum, and the unit size of the dwelling unit is 600 to 1200 square feet. And next, the same definition for the different income groups are given by MHUPA. Based on that, EVS group means it is a minimum of 300 square feet super built up area, minimum of 269 square feet carpet area, and for LIG groups minimum of 500 square feet super built up area and maximum of 517 square feet carpet area. And MIG households have a definition of MIG households. It's a minimum of 600 to 1200 square feet super built up area and maximum of 861 square feet carpet area. So this is the source given at the below. Irrespective of different income groups, the following are the main factors should be considered in the construction of dwelling unit. Orientation of building, which enhances the exposure to sunlight, degree of slopes and accessibility in the form of distance travelled. Second is the minimum requirements of the people and conservation principle. And next one is a flexibility in norms and standards to accommodate situations guided by difficult hill terrain and its geology. Fourth one is a workplace and residence relationship. Fifth one is the energy needs. Sixth is alternative mode of transportation, communication network. Next is a mobile and emergency facilities. And last one, the basic need is the water facility. The recommendation for EVS and LIG we'll see now. Size of EVS and LIG dwelling units and method of measurements. The task force recommends that to establish the minimum size of a habitable EVS dwelling unit, the absolute minimum size of area as presented in the NBC, that is a National Building Code, should be followed. The recommendations on the size of affordable housing dwelling units are as follows. For economically weaker section, 21 to 27 square meter carpet area. For LIG group A category, it should be 28 to 40 square meter carpet area. For upper lower income group, 41 to 60 square meter carpet area. The task force also recommends that these ranges, especially if subsidies are tied to them, should have an admissible marginal variation of 10%. Therefore, while the minimum area of EVS would be fixed at 21 square meter and the maximum for LIG B would be fixed at 60 square meter, the EVS maximum area could be between 25.2 and 30.8 square meter, and the maximum area for LIG B could be between 36.9 and 45.1 square meter. The final area specifications for the project within their particular situation. While the BIS code IS 3861 2002 allows the use of super built up area, but in practice sale price calculation by developers are based on varying methods of measurements of super built up area, and it's therefore directly linked to the income segment to which the dwelling unit is affordable. The task force therefore recommends that, considering in general practice, feedback from developers and local bodies, and as per actual calculation of dwelling units of EVS and LIG category, a 25% loading is recommended as the maximum permissible loading on carpet area to calculate built up area and 40% to calculate super built up area. At reasonable cost, it is crucial to attain success of all housing programs with the provision of developed land on an adequate sale. Besides, low income group housing sites have to be provided for private individuals, for cooperatives and private businesses. Private construction, especially amongst people of small or moderate means, it's likely to make greater progress if developed sites can be made available by local authorities at low rates, which may be subject to appropriate conditions regarding resale. High land values and a general security of plots are an important reason for the slow progress of housing in recent years. especially in towns which have grown rapidly. It would therefore appear desirable to provide assistance to state governments and local authorities for developing sites for the sale to persons who have low incomes and wish to build houses for their own use, whether or not they are applicants for loans under the specific low income group housing scheme which is being implemented. It is further suggested that a proportion of funds available under the scheme for low income group housing might be used for land development on a planned basis. Special attention being given to these towns where considerable congestion exists and to towns which are likely to develop more rapidly on account of development programs to undertaken during the second 5-year plan. State governments may examine in consultation with the individual local authorities how far action can be pursued along these lines. Sites might also be developed for lease as distinguished for sale. Based on the cost of the house, the norms for approved plans as per the Indian standard requirements for LIG group is given as follows. The standard is given guidelines for LIG houses having a maximum plinth area of 40 meters square. The provision mentioned in the code are applicable to public and private agencies and government bodies. Next one is a planning. The planning, the first one is a type of development. LIG housing shall have plot or flat development as a row or group housing on cluster pattern, layout pattern. Based on the need of LIG, the mixes of plot of different sizes are accommodated in a dwelling unit. For example, 75% of the plots may be in the size less than or up to 600 meters squared per dwelling unit in metropolitan towns, and other towns and hilly areas may have 100 meters squared, and the remaining 25% may have more than 60 meters squared. Next is a plot area. Under that, it's a plot size. The maximum plot size with ground coverage shall not be less than 40 meters squared in small and medium towns and not less than 30 meters squared in metropolitan cities. Next is a minimum frontage. The minimum of 3.6 meter width should be given at frontage. Height of the total height of the building should not exceed 15 meter. Lift should not be provided if the building height is 15 meter. Ground plus one floor is preferable for LIG. Size of room. Habitual room. Every house should be provided with minimum 2 rooms. The size of first room should not be less than 9 meters squared with a width of 2.5 meter, and the second room should be provided with not less than 6.5 meters squared with a minimum width of 2.1 meter. The total area of both rooms should not be less than 155 meters square. Then the size of the bathroom and water closet. The area for that is the separate area should be given for water closet should be 0.9 meter square with a minimum width of 90 centimeter and bathroom size of 1.2 square meter with a minimum width of 1 meter. For the combined bathroom and water closet, the size shall be 1.8 meter square with a minimum width of 1 meter. Next, the kitchen size. A cooking area having a direct access from the main room without any intercommunicating room is said to be cooking an alcove. The size of cooking alcove shall not be less than 2.54 square meter with a minimum width of 1.2 meter. In case of kitchen shall not be less than 3.3 meter square with a minimum width of 1.5 meter. Height of rooms. The minimum height of the habitual and kitchen shall be 2.6 meter and 2.1 meter for bathroom and corridor. Circulation area inclusive of staircase, all circulation area shall not be more than 8 meter square. Housing characteristics and affordability are the main aspects varies the concepts of development of building plans in 3 different income groups. Quality of dwelling and affordability depends on number of stories, privacy and design of houses, emphasis on open space, circulation area, sewage line and including all other basic services. MIG and HIG planning. In the creation of planning of MIG and HIG households, 3 related aspects such as physical, social and symbolic are mainly considered and are to be incorporated in street plans or layouts. Architectural style of buildings. The specification for these types of income groups are mainly based on the national building codes. HIG groups are established with more comforts including swimming pool, sewage treatment plant, gymnasium, conference hall, parks, etc. Okay students, let us conclude our session. Irrespective of all income groups, the plans established should meet the basic needs of the people. Government has taken in more initiation for EVS and LIG groups housing with a low cost building. Considering effective utilization of space, method of construction, awareness on low cost building materials, housing for all can be achieved. For all income groups, the cost is an important parameter. Even government has provided enough financial support. Moreover, the space for all housing is an considerable parameter, so that finally we can conclude instead of going for horizontal building construction, vertical type of or group housing is recommended.